Welcome back to the deep dive.
Oh,
Okay, so today we're looking at this really compelling story you sent over. It's about Dr. Pam Harrington.
right. And our mission here is to unpack her journey. She's this top-tier ED doctor candidate.
And she goes back, very reluctantly, to her small hometown in Pennsylvania, a place she swore she'd never return to.
Exactly. And what happens? She finds herself excelling professionally, but also reconnecting romantically with an old flame.
And almost immediately, she's caught up in this 14-year-old mystery,
Uh-huh.
one that's deeply tied to her own personal tragedy.
Yeah, it's intense from the get-go. Pam doesn't even really get a chance to settle in. She arrives in Middleton, right?
Mhm.
And bam, there's this huge explosion at the Powermaster tool factory. It just rocks the whole town.
That's right. She basically flips a switch, goes from potential hire to full-on trauma surgeon in seconds.
She's pulled right into this massive emergency response, multiple companies involved.
And this is where the past just crashes into the present.
Yeah.
Because who does she run into at the scene?
Tom Jarrod, known as Medic 1 on the radio. He's the town's chief of rescue operations.
And critically, he's also her high school sweetheart, the one she left behind.
Yeah, the quote, bad boy who ran the family farm. But there's like zero time for catching up.
No, it's pure crisis mode. Burn victims everywhere. One guy's crashing. His airway is swelling shut from the burns. It's critical.
Super critical. And Tom performs an emergency intubation right there. A really difficult procedure, especially in the field.
And Pam, the visiting specialist, she's right beside him. She checks his tube placement.
Her words are just, you're in, that confirmation. That's huge professionally.
It absolutely is. It shows this incredible, unspoken synchronicity they still have medically, even after all these years apart. High stakes, perfect teamwork.
And it tells you two things straight away. First, whatever their personal history, they're both incredibly competent under pressure.
Right.
And second, Tom isn't just some small-town rescue chief. He's highly skilled. Pam is clearly impressed, professionally speaking.
Okay, so let's dig into that tension. The professional opportunity pulling her back versus the really painful personal history that pushed her away.
So, the job itself. She's there to consider a position as an ED staff doctor at Middleton Medical Center.
Which is a pretty significant facility, right? Sort of 5 counties. Dr. Marlene Everett invited her.
Correct. But here's the twist Pam doesn't know initially. Tom Jarrod. He's deeply involved with that hospital.
How so?
Well, for starters, he helped design it, and he's on the board of directors.
Wow. Okay.
And the sources say he actually heard Pam's name mentioned alongside another candidate from, Chicago General, a big name.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom insisted they offer the position to Pam. He basically pulled strings to get her that invitation.
Okay, that adds layers. It's kind of romantic, him wanting her back professionally.
It is, but it also highlights his influence in the town. Maybe even raises some, slight ethical questions about that pull.
Definitely shows his power within that small town system and his determination to get her back there.
Which forces the question, why did she leave so definitively in the first place? And that takes us back 14 years, back to 1994.
Yeah, the year that basically defined her life, a period of, triple tragedy.
It started with a relationship. Pam was 18, dating Tom. And then she discovers he got Susan Murphy pregnant.
Which led to Tom marrying Susan almost immediately. That betrayal alone would be crushing for anyone, let alone an 18-year-old.
Absolutely devastating. And right on the heels of that emotional trauma comes the physical catastrophe.
The car accident, June 25th, 1994.
Her best friend, Megan, dies in the crash. The other driver, Ryan Collins, also dies.
And Pam survives, but with severe injuries, including losing part of her leg.
So you've got the heartbreak over Tom, the horrific accident, the death of her friend, the life-altering injury.
And this immense burden of survivor's guilt. She seems convinced for years that she caused it all because she was upset about Tom and driving while crying.
That combination, betrayal, trauma, guilt, it solidified her decision. Flee Middleton, flee Pennsylvania, never look back. For 13 years, that guilt just ate away at her.
Which makes her return incredibly fragile and explains why someone, almost instantly, starts trying to scare her away.
Yeah, this psychological harassment campaign kicks off immediately, and it's designed specifically to hit her where she's most vulnerable.
Let's look at how calculated this is. First, the note left in her hotel room, taped to the mirror.
What did it say?
It reads, 2 teens dead in fatal crash. 1 driver survived. You killed them. Leave here now or face the consequences.
Oof, that's brutal, directly targeting her deepest trauma and guilt.
Then it follows her. She goes back to Boston briefly and gets this weird phone call. Just the date, repeated, June 25, 1994.
Relentless, just hammering that date, that memory.
But the part that screams planned stalking, not just random cruelty, is the yearbook.
Right, tell us about that.
Her condo in Boston gets broken into,
Mm.
vandalized. But the only thing actually stolen? Her high school yearbook.
Okay, weird. Why?
Because later, that same yearbook mysteriously turns up planted in her temporary apartment back in Middleton.
Whoa. So the person doing this isn't just trying to scare her. They're showing her they can reach her anywhere. That they have access, control, trying to make her feel unstable, maybe.
Exactly. But Tom, thankfully, he sees it. This isn't just paranoia. He recognizes it as a real threat.
So he steps up, not just as the rescue chief this time, but almost as an investigator.
But first, he pushes her towards dealing with the internal stuff. He convinces her to see a Dr. Diorio.
A psychiatrist who does hypnotherapy to try and unlock those blocked memories of the crash itself.
Right. A really pivotal moment, shifting from the external threats to the internal landscape of her memory.
And what comes out in that first hypnosis session?
Well, she does recall being incredibly upset about Tom and Susan, driving away crying. That part fits her guilt narrative.
But then...
Then she remembers something crucial from after the crash. Lying there, injured, she hears two men arguing nearby.
Arguing about what?
One of them says, clear as day in her memory now. She did it. It's all her fault.
Wow. So hearing that in that state, no wonder she carried that guilt. That phrase cemented it for over a decade.
Exactly. Meanwhile, while Pam's grappling with this recovered memory, Tom starts digging into the external facts. He pulls the original police reports from 1994.
What does he find?
He finds the official story is, well, flimsy, full of holes.
Specifically?
He zeroes in on three really suspicious things that suggest maybe it wasn't just an accident, but a cover-up.
Okay, like what? First, the police file itself. For a double fatality crash, it contains only 3 photographs. Total.
3. That's nothing. That's a huge red flag right there.
A massive red flag. Second, Tom digs up Pam's medical records from the time of the accident.
And they confirm what she always knew.
They confirm definitively she was not drunk, not impaired in any way, which flies in the face of the quiet rumors that had dogged her for years.
So the narrative that she was somehow reckless is false.
Completely false. And third, Tom tracks down a guy named Carl Tedford. He was a friend of Ryan Collins, the other driver who died.
And what does Tedford say?
Tedford insists Ryan Collins wasn't drunk that night. He says Collins might have been high on marijuana, but that he believes Collins was set up, framed to take the blame.
So the whole official story, drunk teen driver, head-on crash, Pam's fault, it just starts to unravel. It seems like it was manufactured.
Precisely. Which leads Tom to look for harder evidence, physical evidence.
And this is where it gets really interesting, forensically speaking. Tom and his friend Eddie, who owns a restaurant with him,
Yeah.
they managed to find some missing accident photos that were not in that bare bones official police file.
Okay, and these photos show something different.
They show something crucial, a major anomaly. Remember, the official story was a head-on collision between Pam's car and Collins's car.
Right.
But these new photos, they show a distinct oval-shaped metal emblem embedded deep in the rear bumper of Pam's totaled Ford Escort.
Wait, the rear bumper, if it was head-on, how did that get there? That implies she was hit from behind.
Exactly. The physics don't match the official report. The glass patterns at the scene, this rear impact evidence, it all points to Pam being rear-ended before the head-on collision with Collins.
Rear-ended hard enough to potentially push her into oncoming traffic.
That seems to be the implication. And that oval emblem,
What was it?
it's identified. It belongs to a Ford Crown Victoria, police interceptor model.
A cop car. So a police vehicle might have rear-ended her and fled the scene.
That's what the evidence suggests. And if an officer fled the scene of a fatal accident,
They'd have a massive incentive to cover it up, to manipulate the report, to maybe even plant that she did it, line Pam overheard.
so the big question becomes, who is driving that police cruiser?
Tom starts digging into police records, maintenance logs, personnel files.
And he finds something. Deputy Chief Bill Hauser, a guy everyone seems to trust, a familiar face from high school even.
What about him?
Records show Hauser was involved in a reported hit-and-run accident on June 28, 1994. That's just 3 days after Pam's crash.
Right. And the vehicle involved in Hauser's hit and run, a Ford Crown Victoria.
Okay, that's lining up. Is there more?
There is. Tom finds a photograph of Hauser taken shortly after that date. And in the photo, Hauser has a bandage on his head.
Suggesting an injury. Maybe from an impact around the time of Pam's crash and his own reported hit-and-run.
It all clicks into place. Deputy Chief Bill Hauser. He likely rear-ended Pam, causing the chain reaction. Panicked, fled,
And then used his position, his authority, to bury the evidence, maybe destroy photos, frame Collins, and let Pam carry the blame for 14 years.
and the why. The sources suggest a motive rooted in, well, jealousy over Susan Murphy, Tom's ex-wife.
Hauser wanted Susan.
Apparently, he blamed Pam's accident in some twisted way for ruining his chance with Susan back then. So when Pam returns, threatening to potentially expose him...
He becomes the stalker. He orchestrates the whole campaign of terror, the note, the calls, the yearbook to drive her out of town again.
It culminates in this incredibly tense final confrontation described in the sources. Hauser tries to incapacitate Pam with a hypodermic needle. While he's driving her somewhere, he lunges at her, yelling, "It's all your fault!" Just like the voice she remembers.
But she fights back this time. She refuses to be a victim again. She escapes.
And the truth is, finally out in the open, Hauser is exposed.
So after all that chaos, where do Pam and Tom go from here? The truth is out, but the damage is immense.
Well, despite everything, they've reconnected on a deep level. Tom's commitment to her seems absolute now.
Even though he's dealing with his own drama, right? His ex-wife Susan is causing problems.
Big time. Susan is apparently using their two sons, AJ and Mark, as leverage in some kind of property dispute.
And trying to get back with Tom.
Yeah, trying to paint Pam as this unfit and dangerous influence to manipulate Tom. But he's not buying it. He stands firm with Pam.
And then he makes this huge gesture.
He proposes with a diamond and ruby band. But more than that, he offers to completely uproot his life for her.
What does he offer?
He tells her he'll sell the family farm, his whole heritage immediately. He'll move to Boston, Chicago, wherever she wants, just to get her away from the toxicity of Middleton, if that's what she needs.
That's a massive commitment. Giving up his roots for her safety and peace of mind.
It is, but this is where Pam's journey really finds its resolution. She has the truth now.
Knowing the guilt wasn't hers to carry. That it was manufactured by Hauser's conspiracy.
Exactly. And that knowledge seems to finally lift that 14-year weight off her shoulders. The emotional wound starts to heal.
So, faced with Tom's offer to leave, what does she decide?
She makes a really powerful choice. She accepts the job, the ED staff doctor position at Middleton Medical Center.
Wow. So she's staying.
She's staying. And she accepts Tom's proposal. They plan to get married the following March.
She chooses Middleton. After everything.
Yeah.
She chooses to build her future right there with Tom and his sons.
It's like she's reclaiming the ground that was stolen from her. She even says something like she believes God has his own timetable for their life together, despite all the hardship.
It feels like the ultimate act of taking back control. She's not just taking a job. She's embracing the challenge, rebuilding her life in the very town that tried to break her.
Yeah, facing down the past, quite literally.
So wrapping this up, what does this deep dive really tell us? For you, the listener.
I think it shows that sometimes maybe the only way to heal these really old, deep emotional wounds is to go back to the source.
Even if going back means confronting something terrifying in the present, like a stalker or a conspiracy.
Right. For Pam, learning she was the target of a cover-up, not the cause of the tragedy, that knowledge was liberating. It was more powerful than the physical distance she kept for 14 years.
That makes sense. The emotional burden, the survivor's guilt fueled by Hauser's lies, and the official silence. That was actually more crippling in the long run than even losing part of her leg.
Absolutely. Healing her past and reclaiming her future, professionally and personally, they were completely intertwined. She had to do both, right there in Middleton.
Which brings us to a final thought. We know Deputy Chief Hauser was the one who acted, who rear-ended her, who stalked her.
He was the operational piece of the puzzle, yes.
But considering the context, Susan Murphy's father was the police chief back in 1994, wasn't he?
He was. He would have overseen that initial flawed investigation.
So given Hauser's actions and the former chief's position, what other secrets, what deeper, more structural cover-ups might still be buried within Middleton's authorities about that accident?
That's the unsettling question, isn't it? Hauser might be exposed, but was he acting entirely alone in the cover-up? How high did the silence really go? And even with Pam and Tom finding their path forward, how long until the full truth about that institutional failure truly comes to light?